Hey everybody, it's JW, R.A.F.O.N report. We are dismantling the beast, one piece at a time. Again, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We'll be on Patreon eventually. And of course, the website is R.A.F.O.N report.com. Kind of pick up where I left off here with another R.A.F.O.N rant. You know, I try to imagine what actors and actresses, whether it be on Broadway or Hollywood or whatever, when they have to find themselves getting into character so that what comes across on the screen is even more believable. Not that it's necessarily an act, but that it is selling the action and the emotion and things involved with it. See, and I sat down here and I was trying to think of what in the world I could do here, and I went and just did a random Google search. Imagine that. Because what we got going today, my little rant is on gun control. And I was in a conversation earlier on Facebook with somebody who was quite curious as to why anybody would need a whole bunch of ammo. You know, what possible reason would we need a whole bunch of ammo for when it comes to only defending our homes? Well, there you go. You start off on the wrong leg by trying to limit and restrict what that whole Second Amendment is about. But when it comes to gun control, just in case nobody's sure where I stand, no. Hell no. We don't need gun control. What we need to do is we need to enforce the laws we currently have on the books. Now, there's a novel idea. Try telling anybody in law enforcement or government that. How about enforcing the laws we already have on the books? Because I can tell you, just from studying history, and you'd think common sense, you don't minimize criminal activity by disarming law-abiding citizens. All you're doing is creating more victims. And that's something I wish more people understood, that is actually being done on purpose by law enforcement and by government. Believe it if you want to. It's up to you. But again, gun control, no, hell no. You see, here in the United States, we've got this little thing that we're kind of proud of. And it's called the Second Amendment. Well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What's so hard about that? Shall not be infringed. It's pretty explanatory, self-explanatory at that. See, this little statement here was actually taken from some previous work by this guy right here, George Mason, lawyer, politician, state of Virginia. Many people, I think, wrongfully credit him as the architect of the Constitution. Now, he was most certainly involved. He was there at the Constitutional Convention. He was there, and it is said by some of the people that were there that nobody spoke more than him at this convention. There were a couple that were said to have spoken maybe as much, but that nobody spoke more than him. Now, I really wouldn't call him an architect of the Constitution, but he was extremely instrumental in the introduction, at least, of the Bill of Rights. And one of the things that I take from that comes from his own history in his own state. The Virginia Declaration of Rights, 1776. That year sound familiar? Article 13. That a well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people. Did you catch that? Composed of the body of the people, trained in arms. Now, none of them were licensed, regulated, insured, and taxed. They didn't have to go through courses. This is people that had the ability and the will. Composed of the body of the people, trained to arms is the proper natural, and safe defense of a free state, that standing armies in times of peace should be avoided as dangerous to liberty, and that in all cases the military should be under strict subordination to and governed by the civil power. This guy is telling you, and this guy was there, he was principal in putting the whole Constitution and follow-up together. Now, he is one of 3 that were there that did not sign the Constitution because he had some reservations about what had been agreed upon, so he didn't want to put his signature on it. But nevertheless, he continued to work with many of those same individuals in crafting what would become the Bill of Rights. In another exchange of his, he says, "No man has a greater regard for the military gentlemen than I have. I admire their intrepidity, perseverance, and valor. But when once a standing army is established in any country, the people lose their liberty. When against a regular and disciplined army, yeomanry are the only defense." Yeomanry were landowners, little groups of people. "Yeomanry, unskilled and unarmed. What chance is there for preserving freedom? Give me leave to recur to the page of history." Oh boy, if only more people would study history. "To warn you of your present danger. Recollect the history of most nations of the world. What havoc, desolation, and destruction have been perpetrated by standing armies. An instance within the memory of some of this house." Remember our battle for independence that same year, 1776. "Will show us how our militia may be destroyed. 40 years ago, when the resolution of enslaving America was formed in Great Britain, the British Parliament was advised by an artful man, Sir William Keith, who was governor of Pennsylvania, to disarm the people." Pay attention. This was said over 200 years ago. "That it was the best and most effective way to enslave them, but that they should not do it openly, but to weaken them and to let them sink gradually by totally diffusing and neglecting the militia." Sound familiar? Here, Mr. Mason quoted sundry passages to this effect. This was a most iniquitous project. Just wrong. Morally wrong. There was no need. Why? Why should we not provide against the danger of having our militia, our real and natural strength, destroyed? He could not be any more clear. He could not articulate it any better. Going back to another statement of his. "Mr. Chairman, a worthy member has asked, who are the militia if they be not the people of this country? And if we are not to be protected from the fate of the Germans, Prussians, etc., by our representation, I ask, who are the militia? They consist now of the whole people, except a few public officers. But I cannot say who will be the militia of the future day. If that paper on the table gets no alteration," remember, he had problems with the Constitution. "If that paper on the table gets no alteration, the militia of a future day may not consist of all classes, high and low, and rich and poor, but may be confined to the lower and middle classes. The mucky muck, the filthy rich, they get a pass. They get it, excluded, unless there's somebody like Prince Harry who goes in and he's completely surrounded, so he was never in any real danger. But if we should ever see that day, the most ignominious punishments and heavy fines may be expected. Under the personal government, all ranks of people are subject to militia duty." There was a Supreme Court case, I don't remember the year, but I believe it was called the People versus Heller. And I think our Supreme Court did an extreme disservice there to this Second Amendment. Because the way that they had explained it was that it is the right of the people for self-defense in their homes. Well, no, that's a byproduct. That's a benefit of having the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is to prevent absolute tyranny from the government upon us. It's not about the kind of weaponry. It's not about the size or the strength or the amount of bullets that you own. It's about being able to repel absolute tyranny from the federal government. Don't get it confused. Just a little more information here. A June 2018 report from the Small Arms Survey estimates that Americans own around 393 million guns. That's estimated on what's known. I can guarantee you out on the street, there's just as many. See, that's why many, many decades ago, Emperor Hirohito of Japan warned against an attack on mainland United States and said there's a gun behind every blade of grass. See, in addition to this, we have more than 1 trillion rounds of ammo. So trust me, if guns were a real problem in America, you'd know about it. 393 million that they know of? Come on, give me a break. This is getting ridiculous. Now, you want to know what real gun control looks like? Here's what real gun control looks like. Okay? Up here we got old Mao with China. Then we got Stalin in Russia. We got Hitler in Germany. Then we got Lenin here in Russia. Then we got Idi Amin down here in, I think it was Uganda, Africa. Now, it's not that, he was such a bad guy. But the one that he overthrew took most of the guns away from law-abiding citizens. He come in, and he just committed an even greater slaughter on these people. And then down here in the middle bottom, we got good old Pol Pot in Cambodia. Over 1.5 million killed. Then over here in the bottom right, we have Mr. Fidel Castro, and most people should be familiar with who he is over there in Cuba. I mean, he's gone now, but not much has changed since his brother's taken over. But again, earlier when I was talking about, needing to get into character and things, this is kind of what just set me off the edge here. I cannot believe they're bringing this little turd back up in the news. Fox. You know what? This is CBS here, but Fox is the one who I think originally put the story out. I left Fox, and I spell it F-A-U-X, like faux, fake, Fox News. I left them over 10 years ago. We've been in this house over 10 years now. And I left Fox before we moved over to here. I won't really get into all of the wherefores there, but they're definitely sliding way over there to the left. And that's not my territory. But I can't believe that this little turd is getting back in the news again. David Hogg, one of the Parkland shooting survivors. Well, you know what? One of the first things I found out about this little twerp was that his dad's former FBI. Now, that in and of itself doesn't make him a bad guy. Yahoo! What I know about the FBI and how this situation turns up and this kid gets thrown into the spotlight and now he's got some March for Our Lives supposed to be really, really important. And I love it here because student activists from the March for Our Lives movement took a tangible stand against gun violence on Wednesday by unveiling a bold new plan they say will cut gun-related deaths by half over the next decade. You guys got to look this up. Oh, my God. I wouldn't dignify this with the time that it would take to absolutely go through it all. But I think one of the cute ones is it's almost like up in Capitol Hill when they slide a little pork in. This is supposed to be about gun violence. Part of this, mandatory voter registration on your 18th birthday. Kind of like registering for the draft. Wow. How far away are we from mandatory voting then? Check your socialist, communist, Marxist, progressive countries. That comes not long after mandated registration. I mean, the whole thing, it just absolutely blows my mind. And again, like I said, I can't believe this little turd's in the news again. It's getting ridiculous. Look, again, you want gun control, this is what it looks like. You're the one that has to make that decision. I can give you a lot of information on it, but what you do with that information is completely up to you. So, again, this is just another one of my rants. So, there's my opinion on gun control. That's what I think of it. Again, this is JW on the R.A.F.O.N report. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Come on over to R.A.F.O.N.report.com. Sign up for an account so you can start taking part in the blogs. Till next time, God bless you. See you later.